Hello homeschoolers! Welcome back to the land of Kakiak. I was going to talk to you today about homeschool budgeting. So I remember the first year I homeschooled, I had a fourth grader and a kindergartner. I had done no research and didn't know what I was doing. I was in a total panic. I remember I tried really quickly to search online, and I remember The Good and the Beautiful caught my eye because it just looked so beautiful. And it said it had a Christian worldview and stuff like that. And they were out of stock, like you couldn't get anything. I'm sure it was because it was like pandemic disruptions or something. So then I went with a Becca, and I just bought a full, you just order like all the curriculum for the grade levels or whatever. And first of all, it was like, I want to say it was like $1,500 or something. So I had to do like a payment plan with them. So that was a little bit stressful. And then you get it, and I have to say, it was probably one of the most miserable years of my life. Because it's a one size fits all, right? Nothing against Rebecca. I actually did really like their history that Everett did that year, and that was about it. Anyways, so I found the Robinson curriculum, which was, I made a video before about building an eclectic curriculum, and I'll find it and leave it down below. But once I found RC, it gave me some rest. I was able to really simplify it. It just gave me this wide range of flexibility once I kind of had recovered from that traumatizing first year of box curriculum, that I was able to start picking up resources here and there and filling gaps and getting into the thick of it, right? I have bought a lot of curriculum that was like highly suggested, that sounded really good, and then I would order it and I would get it and I'd be like, I'm not doing this, because a lot of just too many, like for example, like I bought Fix It Grammar and I got it and I was like, this is way too like complex for grammar, like I'm more concerned about writing as a subject. So there's certain things I don't want pulled out and then like this tiny subject to be blown up into like a huge thing, right? And I spent like good money, good hard cash on that resource, and it's just sitting in my schoolroom. Back to the subject at hand, you end up buying a lot of stuff and spending a lot of money, and like you get your head turned a lot by curriculum. So my number one piece of advice for budgeting for homeschool is to make a rough plan to begin with. Let's say you're just completely new to this, maybe. Figure out what your state's required subjects are. Like literally put it onto paper what that is. Like it's, in my state, it's math, reading, writing, science, and social studies. Like I have to from kindergarten through 12. And I have to add composition in 7th grade. So figure out what your subjects have to be so you have an idea of what you have to cover, right? Because like not all states require all the same subjects like for all the years like mine does. And so you have more flexibility, right? Especially with the younger grades when they're like, how much do they need science in kindergarten? But we make it work. We have fun with it here. Figure out your subjects, write yourself out some columns, and or a planner, right, that has that stuff. I'll link my planner down below where I do all my heavy lifting, thinking, and planning in, and it saves my sanity. Then the second super duper important for saving money is to shop your house. So look around and see what do you already have that would fall into those subjects that would fit your child's needs. So you may not need to buy something else, right? Like you may already have a bunch of readers maybe, or you may already have some phonics resources or flashcards, or you might have more than you think that you have, right? So you may have all types of little like sciencey books. I realized we had all types of science books already. We had tons of stuff that taught about nature and animals and history. Like that's another really common thing that you will find in books. So that you may have something that already fits. Like we already had the Rush Revere books. So we did that. Is it 4th grade or 5th grade for Everett? I don't know. We did that for history and used the free study guide from their website. So 1, find out your state required subjects and I guess any subjects that you are important to you. Like we always add in Bible, right? 2, shop your house, see if there's anything that already falls into that category, okay? 3 is keep in mind if you can keep it simple, it's better. Like I don't recommend buying, personally I don't recommend buying a grammar program, right? I recommend maybe you have some kind of grammar reference book, I guess, but I'm not gonna year after year spend $30 to do grammar. Like, because they're going to be writing and I want something to help me give them feedback on their writing. I want something to gently introduce the grammar concepts, but I'm not going to make that a whole full-blown subject personally, right? I'm going to keep my resources simplified if I can. So again, like if you can roll things together, like for just as for example, for us, we do for grammar, let's just say that, I start out with, so our early language arts is we're reading the McGuffey readers, we're doing copy work. I start introducing grammar concepts and reading comprehension concepts with my bookmarks, my language arts bookmarks. I'll link some of the stuff for you below, and I'll link my sequences for you. I've been doing it all, I've been linking them a lot lately because I've been updating them. If you haven't seen them before, you'll see what I mean. And that costs like $5 for those bookmarks, and it tells me like literally for years everything that I'm going to teach my kids, and I can just print it out over and over, stick it in their reader, stick it in their copybook. We do little grammar exercises like find the nouns and highlight them in purple, right, or something. We do fill in stories, like come up with adjectives for all these blanks, right, or you mix it up. So that is like extremely cheap, and you can find a lot of free stuff. If you get a game plan, keep it simple, get a game plan, Google free printables, right? Which leads me to my next point, which is printables and non-consumable resources. A ton of the resources that I use are printables. I will always, almost always buy a digital copy of something. I invested in a comb binder. I feel like I'm always looking for an excuse to comb bind something now because it's fun. And I just have tons of stuff that once I, get it, then I know, like especially for my oldest, my poor guinea pig child, that the younger boys are going to, be using it as a resource, and I still have the whatever book is usually our spine, and I just reprint the notebook. So it's a one-time investment, and then it pays off over and over. So printables and other types of non-consumables. I just bought a dry erase, like I bought some dry erase envelopes and some dry erase pens, so that there's all types of stuff that I can just slip in there and use over and over again. Obviously, going to the library. So I have especially in the early years, don't need to buy. You don't have to buy. Like I think things like this book, which I think. How much did I pay for this? Okay, total with tax, I paid $18.18 for this book new. I would have bought it used, but it's too new to be used. I'm going to use this as a science book. And I bought the notebooks that went with it, usually with this series, which are usually like 9 something, so like $10, right? That's one time, and I get to reprint those for all my kids. So for a one-time investment, let's say of $30, I have science for 3 kids. I think that's a good deal. But you can do that with anything. You don't have to do, these kind of books usually have companion notebooks with them, but you don't even have to buy the notebook. You could just get one of these books and get a composition notebook, read the pages, go deeper into whatever you want to go deeper into. You let them, help them find a YouTube video or an article or a book from the library that goes deeper. Let's say they wanted to go deeper into ecosystems. This one mentions ecosystems. Go to the library and see what they have on ecosystems. And then notebook, right, about it. Just have them draw pictures, answer their own questions, make their own lists. I mean, you can give some guidance, but then all you've invested is in the original book, so which I think was like $15, like without my taxes or whatever I paid. The other thing that I don't think that you have to do, and this is me personally, is we don't do really like field trips. Like if you want to do field trip, I suggest budgeting for them. So back to budgeting. So let's say you have success. You've looked up your state required subjects. You have made a sequence, right? Let's say you dropped your resources in, maybe even have them years in advance, right? Start charting it out. You can always change your plan, but to get an idea going, get it down. Then shop your house to see if there's something that would already meet that need, right? Because then it's free 99. Then invest in printable or non-consumable resources that fit your needs if you can. And then sometimes you don't have to. Sometimes you can make your own. Just get a blank notebook and go for it, right? If there's money left over in the budget, so figure out how that all costs, right? Because you can start seeing like year to year. There's always when you're first doing it, you're first investing in your homeschool resources, like your first kid and everything. That's like the most upfront cost, right? It's going to be actually less in theory, right? It should be less every year after that because you've invested in your books and things, and maybe it's just new notebooks, or if you do get certain workbooks that you want them to fill out, then it's just maybe just buying those if you want to. If there's money left over in your budget for field trips, by all means, go for it. Personally, we never have money left over for field trips. It's just like not a thing. It's just not a thing. And so we have done virtual tours of museums, YouTube. Like we do all types of virtual tours. We look at a lot of, I just feel this is probably just my personality. I would rather personally invest in books and like read about places and look at places than driving all over Kingdom Come, packing around young kids, having, you're going to end up eating fast food and feeling sick, paying for tickets, paying for entrance, like bleh. I would much rather do virtual tours, documentaries, and local museums than take big excursions and do tons of activities. And also, I personally just don't like the disruption in my life. I like routine, I like quiet, I like my cozy little home, I like gathering together in the schoolroom, I like getting out and going for walks and things, but not with the pressure of like planning field trips. It just stresses me out. If it stresses you out to plan field trips, it's okay, you don't have to do it. It's okay, don't feel bad. Do you remember how many field trips we took in public school? Like maybe one a year, or maybe. And what did they tell us? We can't afford it. The schools were like, we can't afford it. That's saying, I can't afford it. Okay. I didn't grow up to be backwards because I didn't go to like all the things all the time. Okay, enough about that. Okay, so ways to save money, right? So you're basically getting yourself prepared, your subjects, pick curriculum that you already have if you can, right? Books to shop your house, printables and reusable resources, non-consumables. You can make your own. Just get a notebook. Do virtual field trips, or just local museums, local sites. You can learn a lot of history by like just walking around your own town. You could just look and see if there is a historical society in your own town, and contact them and see if there's anything they offer homeschoolers, if there's any tours, if kids could come down, and if there's any records that you're allowed to like view, like that they're not going to charge you anything. So keep that budget down, right? I'm like, less money on field trips, more money on books. I know some people are going to be like the complete polar opposite, and they're like, no, it's all about being out in the world and living in the world, learning in the real world. And I'm like this. la la la, you're making me feel crazy. So it's a total personality thing. You're just getting my perspective. Okay, and then lastly, I would just say it might help. So when you are doing your budgeting, to set up a separate checking account for homeschool supplies, so that you actually have a set line item in your budget. Like, let's say every month you could put $20 in there, and you can spend that $20, or you can roll it over and save up for some book you guys want, or maybe some field trip you do want to take, something important enough. But I'd give yourself some kind of small line item, because what I found when I wasn't doing that, then I was just buying stuff whenever I felt like I needed it, but like I needed the structure and the constraint of it being a line item budget and taking it out of the main family pot. Because I will buy a book and forget that I bought a book, and like 2 days later I will buy 3 more books. So I will buy something digital, and you just get immediately this digital file, and it almost feels like it didn't happen, right? So, and when you're looking at the family pot, of money, whatever your main checking is, you don't notice the 20, the 30, the 40, the $80 coming out in like books, really, as if you had a smaller pot set aside, and once that money is out of there, it's out of there, right? So you can't go past your limit. So, discuss this with, if you have a spouse or somebody that your finances that you're accountable to, and I highly suggest making that line item to deposit money over, transfer that money over once a month or whatever your schedule is, to a separate homeschool expense account. Okay, those are my best tips for you. God bless you, good luck, and happy homeschooling.